Hello viewers, welcome to today's story about Tiffany Powell, a fearless Jamaican woman, and Hyun Sok Kim, the cold but untouchable Korean Mafia boss who controlled Seoul's underworld with calculated precision. It's a story of dangerous passion, devastating betrayal, and a return that no one saw coming. The crystal chandeliers of the Shilla Hotel ballroom reflected a truth Seoul's elite weren't ready for. A black woman in a blood-red gown, a 10-year-old boy in a sharp tuxedo, half Korean, half Jamaican, walking into the most exclusive charity gala in Seoul like they owned the place. The room fell silent. Tiffany Powell felt every stare as they crossed the gleaming marble floor. Her son, Davis, squeezed her hand, sensing the shift, feeling the weight of hundreds of eyes but not understanding that in the next 5 minutes, their lives would explode. Before we begin this incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our stories. And comment below where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. Welcome to the Shilla Hotel, a hostess said, her professional smile wavering. May I see your invitation? We're here to see Hyun Sok Kim, Tiffany replied, her Jamaican accent cutting through the classical music. Tell him Tiffany Powell has returned. The hostess's face changed. Her eyes darted to Davis, to that unmistakable face, those features that belonged to only one man in this room. She reached for her earpiece, whispering urgently while stealing glances at the boy. Davis tugged his mother's sleeve. Mama, why is everyone staring? Stand tall, baby. Tiffany's voice was steady, but her heart raced. We belong anywhere we choose to be. Across the ballroom, a commotion stirred. Security guards spoke into radios. Women whispered behind champagne glasses. Men in expensive suits turned their attention from business deals to the woman in red and the child who looked like Korea's most dangerous man. The crowd parted. Hyun Sok Kim emerged from a circle of executives, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean about territory disputes and shipment routes. 33 years old. Custom-tailored Tom Ford suit, black as his reputation. Neck tattoos barely visible above his collar, a reminder that beneath the businessman facade was something far more dangerous. He was Seoul's underground king, the man Forbes Asia wouldn't dare write about, but everyone knew controlled more than any CEO. He looked like power incarnate. He looked exactly like the boy standing in his ballroom. Tiffany watched him approach, remembering the man he used to be. The young enforcer who'd promised her forever in a cramped apartment above a noodle shop, who'd traced patterns on her pregnant belly and whispered names in the dark, who'd disappeared when his family demanded he choose between her and his empire. Davis's small voice cut through the chatter, clear as broken glass. Father. Time stopped. Hyun Sok's phone slipped from his hand, hitting the marble floor with a crack that echoed through the ballroom. His face drained of color shock, disbelief, recognition as his eyes locked onto the child. Then slowly, his gaze found Tiffany. No. His voice was barely a whisper. This can't be. You can't be. Look at him. Hyun Sok. Tiffany's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Really look at your son. Around them, phones appeared. Bodyguards reached for weapons. Wives gasped. The air vibrated with scandal and danger because in Hyun Sok's world, secrets like this got people killed. Davis, coached by his mother but still nervous, stepped forward and bowed formally, perfectly Korean despite being raised in Kingston, Jamaica. Hello, father. My name is Davis Kim. I'm 10 years old. Then he switched to flawless Korean, every word deliberate. I've been waiting to meet you my whole life. The ballroom erupted. Whispers became shouts. Security guards moved closer. Camera flashes lit up the scene. Everyone was recording now the moment Korea's most feared mafia boss met the son he never knew existed. Hyun Sok stumbled backward, his hand gripping a nearby column for support. His face cycled through emotions he'd trained himself never to show. Shock, pain, recognition, terror. You kept him from me. His voice rose dangerously. You hid my child? 11 years, Tiffany corrected coldly. And I didn't hide him. Your family made it very clear we weren't welcome in your world. That's not. He stopped, finally realizing they had an audience. Dozens of Korea's most powerful criminals and business people watching, recording, witnessing his weakness. Upstairs, private room. Now. He moved like a man walking to his execution, leading them toward the elevators. Davis pressed close to his mother, his earlier confidence shaken by the intensity in his father's eyes. In the mirrored elevator walls, the truth was undeniable. Davis was a perfect blend of both worlds, Tiffany's warm brown skin and full features, but Hyun Sok's sharp jawline, intense eyes, the same stubborn set to his mouth. Even the way he stood, hands clasped behind his back, mirrored his father's military bearing. Mama, Is he angry at us? Davis whispered in patois, his first language, his safe language. English here, my love. Or Korean. Tiffany stroked his hair. And no, he's just surprised. But she was lying. She could see it in Hyun-suk's rigid shoulders, the way his tattooed hand trembled slightly against the elevator wall. He wasn't just surprised. He was terrified. The private VIP room overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline, Hyun-suk's kingdom. A world away from the beach house in Jamaica where Davis had learned to swim, where Tiffany had rebuilt her life from nothing. Hyun-suk collapsed into a leather chair, his carefully constructed mask cracking. How old? 10. He'll be 11 inches March. 11 months after Tiffany had fled Seoul. 11 months after his mother had called her a distraction from his duties. 11 months after the family meeting where they'd made it clear. The Jamaican girl would never be family. His name is Davis. Middle name Minjun, the name we chose together. Her voice softened despite herself. Or did you forget? Hyun-suk's breath caught. That freezing December night in the cramped apartment, space heater broken, his hand on her swollen belly. They'd whispered names like prayers, like promises neither of them could keep. Why now? He asked hoarsely. After 11 years, why come back? Davis answered, his voice small but steady. Because I asked Mama who my father was, and she said I deserved to know, even if the answer was dangerous. Hyun-suk's eyes snapped to him, this bold boy who'd inherited more than just his features. He'd inherited that stubborn refusal to back down. You speak Korean? Yes. And English. And patois. Davis studied him. Mama says I should never be ashamed of my languages. How many do you speak? Korean, English, Mandarin, Japanese. Oh. Davis's posture straightened slightly, impressed despite himself. Mama said you were smart. That's why you're so powerful. Your mother. Hyun-suk's voice broke. What else did she tell you about me? That you were young when we met. That you had responsibilities. That sometimes love isn't enough when the world is dangerous. Davis's eyes, so much like his father's, held no judgment. That you didn't know I existed. The door burst open. A woman swept in. Late 20s, elegant in designer everything. Park Min-hee, daughter of the Busan cartel, Hyun-suk's strategic alliance, his arranged marriage that would unite two empires. She stopped dead, her smile dying as she took in the scene. I heard you left the gala. They said you were in a meeting, but... Her eyes moved from Hyun-suk's stricken face to Davis, then to Tiffany in her red gown. Who are they? Min-hee, this isn't... I can explain. Explain what? Who is this woman? Who is this child? She trailed off, finally seeing it. The unmistakable resemblance. Davis, still clinging to innocent hope, stepped forward with a bright smile. Hello, I'm Davis. Are you my father's friend? Friend? Min-hee's voice strangled. I'm his fiancé. The word landed like a bullet. Davis's smile faltered. He looked at his mother, confusion and hurt warring on his young face. But Mama said father wasn't married. He's not, yet. Min-hee's eyes never left Hyun-suk, ice in every syllable. We're getting married in 2 weeks. Were you planning to mention your secret child before or after the ceremony? I didn't know. Don't. Min-hee held up her hand. He's 10 years old. When exactly were you going to tell me you have a son? The door opened again. 2 people entered with the weight of old power and older money. The elegant woman in traditional hanbok modified for modern power, Mrs. Kim, matriarch of the Kim crime family. The stern man in a dark suit that probably cost more than most people's cars, Mr. Kim, the former boss who'd built the empire his son now ruled. They started speaking rapid Korean to Hyun-suk, clearly agitated about him leaving the gala, about the rumors already spreading. Then they saw Tiffany. Mrs. Kim's face went through shock, recognition, and cold fury in 3 seconds. You! The word dripped poison. What are you doing in my son's room? Davis, clinging to hope despite everything, stepped forward. His arms opened slightly, Korean formality warring with childish longing. Grandmother, Mama told me so much about you. Don't touch me. Mrs. Kim stepped back like Davis carried disease. Like his very existence was contamination. The room went silent. Tiffany watched her son's face, confusion rippling across those features. Then hurt deep, confused hurt. Then something harder settling in. Childhood innocence cracking in real time. Ara. Tiffany's voice was gentle but firm. Come here, baby. But I just wanted to meet grandmother. Now Davis. Her son returned to her side, but the damage was done. He'd felt the rejection, seen the disgust, and something in his young face aged in that moment. Mrs. Kim turned to her son, speaking Korean too fast for most to follow. But Tiffany understood every word. She'd spent years learning the language, preparing for this day. Get rid of them. Whatever it costs, make them disappear. Do you have any idea what this will do to our family? To our alliances? To your marriage? Davis's voice cut through, quiet but devastated. She's talking about us, isn't she? Like we're garbage to throw away. Everyone froze. The 10-year-old had understood. Every single word. Mrs. Kim's face flushed. You taught him Korean? I taught him everything, Tiffany said quietly, standing tall. About respect. About family. About his heritage, both sides. Even the side that didn't want him. How dare you? How dare I what? Tiffany's voice rose, Jamaican fire breaking through her control. Raise your grandson alone? Teach him to be proud of who he is? Not disappear when you paid me to? Mr. Kim spoke for the first time, his voice like gravel. You took our money. Your son's money, Tiffany corrected. The $50,000 he wired me to handle things. I used it for prenatal care, delivery, and setting up a nursery. Every penny accounted for. I can show you receipts. Hyun-suk's face went white. You kept receipts? I kept everything. Tiffany pulled out her phone. Bank statements, hospital records, photos of every birthday, every school play, every achievement you missed. 11 years of evidence that I never needed your money, I needed your son to be a father. And what do you need now? Mrs. Kim demanded. More money? Is this blackmail? Davis stepped forward, and there was no childish hope in his face now. Just a cold clarity that looked terrifyingly like his father. We don't want your money. We want what every child wants to know, their family. He paused, and when he spoke again, it was in perfect formal Korean. But Mama was right. You don't see me as family. You see me as a problem. You are a problem, Mrs. Kim snapped. A scandal. A mistake that should have been enough. The word came from Hyun-suk, but it was weak, broken. Enough. His father laughed bitterly. This woman shows up with a child, claims he's yours, and you just believe her. Look at his face, father. Hyun-suk's voice cracked. Look at him and tell me he's not mine. Everyone looked at Davis. The resemblance was undeniable, more than resemblance. The boy was a perfect copy, just warmer, more open, untouched by the violence that had hardened his father. DNA tests exist, Mrs. Kim said coldly. Fine. Tiffany's voice was ice. Test him. Test me. Test whatever you need. But know this, I didn't come here begging. I came because my daughter asked to meet his father. After tonight, whether he ever wants to see any of you again will be his choice. She took Davis's hand. We're leaving. Wait. Minhee's voice stopped them. She looked at Hyun-suk with something between pity and disgust. Is it true? Is he really yours? Hyun-suk couldn't speak. His world was crumbling, and all he could do was stare at the boy, his son, who was about to walk out of his life. Answer me, Minhee's composure cracked. Is he yours? Yes. The word came out broken, destroyed. Yes, he's mine. Minhee pulled off her engagement ring, 5 carats, flawless, worth a fortune, and placed it on the table with a soft click that echoed like a gunshot. Then I hope he's worth it, she said quietly. Because you just lost everything else. She walked out, designer heels clicking against marble, taking with her the Busan alliance, the strategic marriage, the empire expansion that had been 5 years in the making. Tiffany turned to leave, Davis's hand tight in hers. Hyun-suk found his voice. Tiffany, wait, please. She paused at the door, didn't turn around. He's been mine for 10 years, Hyun-suk. Her voice was tired, final. No one takes him without a fight, not even you. As they walked toward the elevator, Davis looked up at his mother, tears finally spilling down his cheeks. Mama, I'm sorry. I thought they would want to know me. Tiffany knelt down, cupping his face in her hands, red dress pooling around them in the hallway. Baby, listen to me. You are perfect. You are wanted. You are loved. She kissed his forehead. And if they can't see that, it's their loss, not yours. You understand me? Duh. Yes, Mama. Good. Now let's go home. Behind them, through the closed door, they could hear raised voices, arguments, the beginning of a war. But Tiffany Powell had survived worse. She'd raised a son in a foreign country with no help. She'd built a life from nothing. She'd come back to Seoul not for Hyun-suk's approval, but for her son's peace of mind. And now she would protect him from the very family he'd wanted to know, even if that family included the only man she'd ever truly loved. But how did we get here? How did a Jamaican nurse and a Korean mafia enforcer fall in love in the first place? To understand that, we need to go back. Back to where it all started 11 years ago, in a different soul, when Tiffany Powell first met the man who would change her life forever. Tiffany made it 3 steps past the hotel entrance before she heard him. Tiffany. Hyun-suk's voice cut through the night air, not the cold mafia boss voice, but something raw, desperate. The sound of a man watching his world collapse. She stopped on the marble steps, Davis pressed against her side, limousine drivers and valets pretending not to stare at Seoul's most dangerous man chasing a woman in a red dress. "Mama?" Davis whispered, uncertain. "It's okay, baby." But her hand trembled as she turned around. Hyun-suk stood in the golden light spilling from the hotel entrance, his perfect Tom Ford suit disheveled, tattoos stark against his neck, chest heaving like he'd run a marathon instead of just down a hallway. Behind him, security guards hovered, unsure whether to intervene. "Don't leave. Not like this. Not again." His voice broke on the last word. "Please." Tiffany's resolve wavered. 11 years, and he could still undo her with a single word. "What do you want from us, Hyun-suk?" Answers. He took a step closer, stopped when she stiffened. "You owe me that much." "I owe you." Fire flashed in her eyes. "I owe you nothing. But for Davis's sake." She looked down at her son, who was watching his father with heartbreaking hope. "I'll give you an hour. 1 hour. Then we're gone. My car." "No. Neutral ground." She glanced around, spotted the hotel's garden entrance. "The sculpture garden. Private. Public enough." He nodded, dismissed his guards with a sharp gesture in Korean. Within minutes, they stood among abstract sculptures and manicured trees, fairy lights casting shadows across Hyun-suk's face. Davis sat on a nearby bench, close enough to be safe, far enough to give them space. Hyun-suk's hands clenched at his sides. "Why did you leave?" "You know why. Tell me anyway. Make me understand how you could just disappear. How you could take my son and—" His voice rose. "Your son." Tiffany stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. "He became your son the moment I walked back into Seoul. For 10 years, he was just mine. The child I carried alone, delivered alone, raised alone. I didn't know. You didn't ask." The words exploded out of her. Then quieter, tired. "You never asked, Hyun-suk. You just— Let me go." Silence fell between them, thick with 11 years of unsaid words. Hyun-suk's jaw worked. "How did we get here, Tiffany? We were supposed to be forever." "Forever?" A bitter laugh escaped her. "You want to talk about forever? Fine. Let's go back." She wrapped her arms around herself, red dress suddenly feeling thin in the night air. "I was 24 years old. A travel nurse on a 6-month placement at Seoul University Hospital. You were 22, still learning the family business, still believing you could change things from the inside." Her voice softened despite herself. "You came in with a knife wound you claimed was a kitchen accident." "It was a knife," he said quietly, a ghost of dark humor in his voice. "I knew what you were the moment I saw the tattoos, the way your men stood guard outside the exam room, the cash payment." She met his eyes. "I should have run then. But you smiled at me when I told you the stitches would scar, and you said, 1 more won't matter." Like you were already broken beyond repair. I was. I thought I could save you. Tiffany's laugh was brittle. Stupid, naive girl from Kingston thinking love could compete with blood oaths and family legacy. We had 6 months before you'd take over as head of the Kim family operations. 6 months where you pretended to be normal, where we'd eat street food at 3 a.m. and you'd teach me Korean by making me read menus, where you'd trace my face and tell me I was the only good thing in your world. Hyun-suk's voice was rough. You were. Then why wasn't I enough? The question hung between them. On the bench, Davis pretended to study his phone, but Tiffany knew he was listening to every word. "Tell me," Hyun-suk said, something breaking in his voice. "Tell me about when you found out." "About him." Tiffany closed her eyes, transported back. "I found out I was pregnant 1 week before your succession ceremony. Remember that week? You were gone. Meetings with families from Busan, Incheon, building alliances. I barely saw you." She opened her eyes. "I was terrified, but I thought you'd be happy. I thought maybe a baby would give you a reason to leave, to choose us over the empire. What happened? I came to tell you. To the family compound my first and last time there. Your mother answered the door." Tiffany's voice went flat, emotionless. She took one look at me, at my hand on my still flat stomach, and she knew. Before I could even say the words, She knew. Hyun-sok's entire body went rigid. She invited me in, gave me tea, was so polite. Tiffany's laugh was hollow. Then your father joined us. They sat across from me in that beautiful house, and they explained exactly how things would go. What did they say? His voice was deadly quiet. That the Kim family heir could not have a black mistress and a mixed-race bastard. That it would show weakness to the other families. That you had duties, responsibilities, a future mapped out that didn't include me. Each word fell like stones. They offered me $50,000 to handle the situation and disappear. Your mother even recommended a doctor. No. Hyun-sok's voice was barely a whisper. They wouldn't. They did. Tiffany's eyes blazed. I told them I wouldn't get rid of the baby. So they doubled the offer. Said if I had the child, I could keep the money, but I had to leave Korea and never contact you, never tell you. They'd say I went back to Jamaica, that our fling ran its course. I would have looked for you. They said you were too busy with the succession to notice. And they were right, weren't they? She watched the realization hit him. How long did it take you to realize I was gone, Hyun-sok? A week? 2? He couldn't answer. Couldn't meet her eyes. I took the money, Tiffany continued. Because I was 24, pregnant, and alone in a foreign country. Because I needed prenatal care and a plane ticket home. Because I thought maybe you'd come after me once you found out. Her voice cracked. But you never did. 2 months later, I saw photos of you taking over the family business. 6 months later, articles about the ruthless new Kim boss, who'd consolidated power by eliminating 3 rival factions. I didn't know. You became exactly what they wanted you to be. Tiffany's voice was soft, devastating. I watched from Jamaica as you turned into the monster you swore you'd never become. So I stopped looking, stopped hoping. And I raised our son to be everything you weren't: kind, open, free. Hyun-sok's hands shook. My family. He struggled for words. They told me you left. That you realized what I was, what I'd always be, and you chose to go home. That you were smart to leave before things got worse. And you believed them. I had no reason not to. You were gone. Your hospital placement ended. Your apartment was empty. His voice rose. What was I supposed to think? That maybe, just maybe, the woman who loved you wouldn't disappear without a word. Tiffany's composure finally shattered. I was carrying your child, Hyun-sok. I would have stayed through hell for you. But they made it clear I wasn't part of your future. I was a liability to be eliminated. The truth settled over them like ash after a fire. Davis? Hyun-sok's voice cracked as he looked at the boy on the bench. Did you tell him? About me? I told him his father was Korean. That we loved each other but couldn't be together. That you had responsibilities I couldn't share. Tiffany followed his gaze. I never told him you were a criminal. I never told him your family paid me to disappear. I wanted him to have the choice to know you without my bitterness poisoning it. Why come back now? Because he's 10 years old and started asking questions I couldn't answer. Because he needed to see for himself who his father is. She turned to face Hyun-sok fully. Because I thought after 11 years, maybe things would be different. Maybe you'd be different. I am different. I have power now. Resources. I can protect. You don't get it. Tiffany's voice was gentle, final. Davis doesn't need your power. He needs a father. And I don't know if that's something you know how to be. Hyun-sok took a deep breath, visibly struggling to control emotions he'd spent years learning to bury. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I never thought I'd see you again, Tiffany. I'd accepted it that I'd lost you, that it was the price of the life I chose. He looked at Davis, then back at her. But you've brought back more than memories. You've brought back my son, and I won't lose him the way I lost you. He's not a possession you can keep, Hyun-sok. I know. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, she saw the 2-year-old boy who'd loved her. But he's my son, and that means I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of him, even if I'll never be worthy of you again. Before Tiffany could respond, Davis stood up, walked over, and slipped his hand into hers. Mama, can we go now? I'm tired. She nodded, grateful for the escape. As they walked away, Hyun-sok called out one last time. I'll have the DNA test arranged by tomorrow. Not because I don't believe you, his voice broke, but because I need my family to see the proof, to understand exactly what they took from me. Tiffany didn't turn around. Do whatever you need to do, but the results won't change anything. Davis is mine, and he always will be. I know, Hyun-sok whispered to the empty garden. I know. The DNA results came back in 18 hours, instead of the standard 48. When you controlled half of Seoul's underground, laboratories worked overnight. Hyun-sok stood in Tiffany's modest hotel room, the cheapest she could find in Gangnam, worlds away from the Shilla, holding an envelope that confirmed what everyone already knew. 99.9% match, he said quietly. He's mine. I never said he wasn't. Tiffany continued folding Davis's clothes, her movements precise, controlled. Davis was at the hotel's breakfast buffet with a security guard Hyun-sok had insisted on after learning where they were staying. Hyun-sok set the envelope on the dresser. This hotel isn't safe. It's fine. It's a target. His voice hardened. My enemies already know you're here. By tonight, every rival family in Seoul will know I have a son, a weakness they can exploit. Tiffany's hands stilled. Then we'll leave. Go back to Jamaica. They'll follow you. I've made too many enemies. They'll see Davis as leverage, as revenge. He moved closer. Let me protect you. Both of you. How? By making us prisoners in your world? By giving you everything. The words came out desperate. A penthouse, security, cars, schools, anything Davis needs. You'll never want for anything again. Tiffany finally turned to face him. And what do you get in return? Time. With my son. A chance to be his father. So I'm supposed to be what? Your kept woman? Living in your property, dependent on your money, waiting for you to decide when you have time for us between your drug deals and territory wars? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Hyun-sok? She crossed her arms. Because it sounds exactly like what your parents offered me 11 years ago. Money to make me convenient. To keep me controlled. His jaw clenched. I'm not my parents. Aren't you? Her voice was soft, cutting. You're still in the same business. Still making the same choices. Still thinking money solves everything. Then what do you want? I want Davis safe. I want him to know his father. But I won't trade my freedom for your protection. She picked up the envelope with the DNA results. These don't change anything. I'm still his mother. I still make the decisions. Even if those decisions get him killed? The words hung in the air like a threat. Tiffany's voice went ice cold. Get out. Tiffany. Now. She lasted 6 hours. 6 hours of watching every shadow in the hotel corridor. Of checking and rechecking the locks. Of seeing Davis ask why the man in the lobby kept staring at them. Of receiving a photo on her phone, no message, just an image of Davis at the breakfast buffet, taken from across the room. The sender's number was blocked. When Hyun-sok's car pulled up to the hotel entrance an hour later, Tiffany was waiting with their bags packed. Temporary, she said as he stepped out. This is temporary, until I figure something else out. Relief flashed across his face. Of course, whatever you need. I have conditions. Name them. Davis's education continues. I enroll him in whatever school I choose, not what you think looks good for your reputation. Her voice was steel. I come and go as I please. No guards following me everywhere. And you don't make promises to Davis you can't keep. He's not a tool for your redemption. Agreed. And we sleep in separate quarters. This isn't a reconciliation. This is a safety arrangement. Nothing more. Something flickered in Hyun-sok's eyes, hurt, maybe, but he nodded. Nothing more. The property was in Pyeongchang-dong, Seoul's most exclusive neighborhood, where chaebols and celebrities hid behind high walls and higher gates. The mansion sprawled across the hillside, traditional Korean architecture merged with modern luxury, all clean lines and expensive silence. Davis pressed his face against the car window. Mama, is this really where we're staying? Temporarily, Tiffany emphasized, shooting Hyun-sok a look. It's one of my private residences, Hyun-sok explained. Completely secure. Guards patrol the perimeter, but they won't intrude. You'll have privacy. The inside was worse than Tiffany imagined. Marble floors that echoed with emptiness. Art that probably cost more than she'd make in a lifetime. Windows overlooking Seoul's skyline, the city glittering below like Hyun-sok owned every light. The east wing is yours, he said, leading them through hallways that felt more like a museum than a home. 3 bedrooms, private living area, kitchen, if you prefer not to use the main one. Staff comes twice a week unless you need them more often. Staff, Tiffany repeated flatly. Housekeeping, cooking. I thought you might appreciate. I can clean and cook for my son myself. I know, I just thought. He stopped, frustrated. I'm trying to help. You're trying to control. Davis, sensing the tension, tugged his mother's hand. Mama, can I see my room? Hyun-sok seized the opportunity. I had it prepared this morning. If you don't like it, we can change everything. He led them to a bedroom that made Davis gasp. Gaming console. Bookshelves already stocked with Korean and English titles. A bed so large it could fit 3 of him. windows overlooking a private garden. This is mine? Davis's voice was small, disbelieving. If you want it. Davis looked at his mother, seeking permission. Tiffany's throat tightened. Their apartment in Jamaica had been one bedroom, Davis sleeping on a fold-out couch until she could afford better. Yes, baby. It's yours. Davis ran to explore, leaving the adults in heavy silence. You're buying his love, Tiffany said quietly. I'm giving him what he deserves. He deserves a father who's present, not a room full of expensive things. Then let me be present. Hyun-suk's voice was raw. I'll do whatever it takes. Just tell me how. Before she could answer, Davis called out, Father, can you help me set up the game console? Father. The word still sounded strange, tentative. Hyun-suk looked at Tiffany, asking permission. She nodded, tired. 1 hour. Then he has homework. Late that night, Tiffany walked through the mansion alone. Davis was asleep in his too-big bed, exhausted from gaming with a father he barely knew. Hyun-suk had left hours ago, business he wouldn't specify, dangers he wouldn't name. Her footsteps echoed on marble. Every corner held shadows. Security cameras blinked red in the darkness. Outside, she could see guards patrolling, earpieces glowing. This wasn't a home. It was a fortress. A beautiful, suffocating cage built by a man who controlled an empire through fear and violence. And she'd just agreed to lock herself and her son inside. Tiffany stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, Seoul spreading below like a kingdom of lights. Somewhere in that city, Hyun-suk was doing things she couldn't think about, making decisions that kept this world running, becoming more deeply entrenched in the life she'd fled. What have I done? She whispered to her reflection. But she knew the answer. She'd traded one danger for another. Freedom for security, independence for protection. And somehow, she'd have to make sure Davis didn't pay the price for that choice. Behind her, a guard walked past the window. His hand rested on a concealed weapon. Tiffany closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the Mafia world that still surrounded Hyun-suk that now surrounded her son. She'd escaped this life once. This time, she was determined not to let it swallow them whole, even if staying meant living in the heart of the darkness itself. The first real fight happened over breakfast. Davis came downstairs at 7 a.m. to find a store's worth of gifts spread across the dining table. Latest iPhone, designer sneakers, a gaming laptop, a watch that cost more than Tiffany's nursing salary for 6 months. Morning, Davis. Hyun-suk stood by the table, still in his suit from whatever business had kept him out all night. I picked up a few things for you. A few things? Tiffany's voice cut from the doorway. She was in pajamas, hair wrapped, no makeup, completely herself in a house that demanded perfection. This looks like you bought out Gangnam. He should have the best. He's 10 years old. He doesn't need a 2 million watch. It's nothing. I want him to have... Davis, go to your room. Tiffany's tone left no room for argument. But Mama... Now, baby. Davis grabbed the iPhone, shot his father an apologetic look, and fled. Smart kid. He knew a storm when he saw one coming. The moment he was gone, Tiffany turned on Hyun-suk. What are you doing? Providing for my son. You're drowning him in guilt gifts. She gestured at the table. This isn't love. This is a transaction. You're trying to buy what you can't earn. I'm giving him what he deserves, what I never had. You think he cares about designer labels? He's never had any of this, and he was happy. He needs a father, not a benefactor. Hyun-suk's jaw clenched. I don't know how to be what you want me to be. Then learn. But you don't learn by throwing money at the problem. She stormed past him, grabbing the gifts. These are going back. Tiffany. All of them. Except maybe the phone, because he needs one for safety. But the rest? No. You can't just decide. Watch me. The second fight came 3 days later. Tiffany found Hyun-suk teaching Davis Korean in the study, which would have been fine, except for his method. Again, Hyun-suk said sharply as Davis stumbled over a phrase. Precision matters. In my world, one wrong word can get you killed. He's 10, not one of your soldiers. Tiffany stood in the doorway, arms crossed. He needs to learn properly. He needs to learn that making mistakes is okay, that he's allowed to be imperfect. She moved into the room. Davis, take a break, baby. Davis hesitated, caught between parents with completely different rules. Go on, Tiffany said gently. After he left, Hyun-suk exploded. You undermine me at every turn. How am I supposed to be his father when you won't let me parent? Parent? You were barking orders at him like he's some subordinate. I was teaching him discipline. He's a child, not a Mafia recruit. Her voice rose. You can't raise him the way you were raised. That's what made you. She stopped. Made me what? His voice went deadly quiet. Say it. Cold. Hard. Unable to show love without a price tag attached. The words hung between them like a blade. Hyun-suk's face went carefully blank, the mask he wore when things got too close to the bone. I'm trying. I know. But trying the wrong way still damages him. He turned away, staring out the window at Seoul. What do you want from me? I want you to be human with him. To laugh. To make mistakes. To show him that strength doesn't mean never being vulnerable. That's not who I am. It used to be. With me. The silence stretched. Then Hyun-suk left without another word. The breaking point came during Davis's homework. Tiffany sat with Davis at the kitchen table, helping him with math. Hyun-suk arrived home early, a rarity, and joined them, watching his son work through problems. When Davis got one wrong, Hyun-suk immediately corrected. No, you're not thinking strategically. Look at the pattern. Let him figure it out, Tiffany interrupted. He's wasting time on the wrong approach. He's learning. Trial and error is how children learn. Not in my experience. In my world, you get it right the first time or face consequences. Good thing we're not in your world then. Tiffany's voice was steel. Davis's pencil froze. He stared at the page, feeling the tension crackle between his parents. Maybe I should help him more efficiently. Hyun-suk reached for the paper. Maybe you should let me parent the child I've been raising for 10 years. He's my son too. Then act like a father instead of a drill sergeant. I'm doing my best. Hyun-suk's control finally cracked. Do you think this is easy for me? I missed 10 years. 10 years of his life because of choices my family made, because of lies they told. I'm trying to make up for lost time. You can't make up for lost time. You can only be present now. Mama. Father. Davis's small voice cut through. Please stop fighting. They both froze. Davis's eyes were bright with unshed tears, his hands trembling. I'm sorry I got the problem wrong. I'll do better. Please don't fight. Tiffany's heart shattered. Baby, no. This isn't about you. But Davis was already gathering his books, fleeing to his room. That evening, Tiffany found Hyun-suk outside Davis's door, hand raised to knock, frozen. He won't let me in, he said quietly. I tried apologizing. He said he's fine, but I can hear him crying. Tiffany's anger deflated. She knocked gently. Davis? It's Mama. Can I come in? A pause. Then, yes. She opened the door to find Davis on his bed, surrounded by the few things from Jamaica photos. A stuffed toy, his favorite books, creating a fortress of familiarity in this strange mansion. I want to go home, he whispered. Tiffany's throat tightened. Baby, I thought meeting father would be good. But you fight all the time, and he doesn't know how to be with me. He tries so hard it makes everything weird. Tears spilled down his cheeks. Maybe I wasn't supposed to meet him. Maybe I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything. This is complicated, yes, but it's not your fault. Then why does everyone seem so sad? Before Tiffany could answer, Hyun-suk's voice came from the doorway. Because I don't know how to be a father. They both turned. Hyun-suk stood there, and for the first time since Tiffany had known him, he looked completely lost. Davis, I'm sorry. I keep getting it wrong. I buy you things because I don't know what else to do. I try to teach you the way I was taught because it's all I know. But your mother's right, you're not me. You don't need to be hard and cold and perfect. He moved into the room slowly, carefully, like approaching something precious he might break. I'm scared, Hyun-suk admitted, voice raw. Scared I'll fail you. Scared you'll see what I really am, and hate me for it. So I try to give you everything material because at least that, I know how to do. Davis wiped his eyes. I don't want things. I just want you to be nice, like when we played games. You smiled then. I liked that. Hyun-suk's composure cracked completely. He knelt by the bed, and this man who controlled an empire looked small before his 10-year-old son. I'll try to smile more. To be softer. I don't know if I'll be good at it. That's okay. Mama says trying is what matters. Later, as Davis slept, Tiffany found Hyun-suk in the study, staring at a pile of receipts, more gifts he'd ordered and hadn't yet given. You can't buy him, she said gently, standing beside him. He's not a prize you can win with money or perfection or control. He just wants you, the real you, even if that person is flawed and still learning. What if the real me isn't good enough? Then you work on being better, not richer, not more powerful, just present, human. Hyun-suk's hands trembled as he picked up a receipt of 5 million bicycle he'd ordered. Cancel them, he said quietly. All of it. I don't know what I'm doing, Tiffany. I thought I could learn through providing, but I'm just pushing him away. It was the first time he'd truly admitted weakness, the first crack in the armor he'd spent years building. Tiffany placed her hand over his. Then stop trying to be the perfect father. Just be his father. That's all he needs. Hyun-sok looked at their hands, hers warm, his cold, and for a moment, he didn't pull away. Will you teach me? He asked. How to be what he needs? I will. But you have to let go of control. Let go of perfection. That's all I know. Then it's time to learn something new. It happened at 2:47 a.m. Tiffany woke to silence, the wrong kind of silence. The kind that made her Jamaican grandmother's warnings about spirits crawl up her spine. Then she heard it. Glass breaking. Distant. Downstairs. She was out of bed instantly. Feet silent on the marble floor, heading straight for Davis's room. Her hand had just touched his doorknob when the lights cut out. Complete darkness swallowed the mansion. Mama? Davis's sleepy voice came from inside. Shh, baby, come here, now. She pulled him from bed, her mind racing. Security system down. Power cut. Professional job. This wasn't a random break-in. Footsteps echoed below, multiple people, moving with purpose. Tiffany grabbed her phone. No signal. They jammed it. Mama, I'm scared. I know. We're going to play a game. Stay absolutely quiet, okay? She pulled him toward the walk-in closet, the most defensible space. Her hands trembled as she locked them inside, then pushed them both behind hanging clothes. Through the crack in the door, she saw shadows moving in the hallway, flashlight beams cutting through darkness, men speaking Korean too low to make out words. Then a voice, louder, cold. Find the boy. Boss wants proof we can reach him whenever we want. Tiffany's blood turned to ice. They were here for Davis. She felt for anything she could use as a weapon. Her fingers closed around a shoe, Louboutin heel, deadly sharp. Better than nothing. The bedroom door crashed open. 2 men entered, flashlights sweeping the room. Tiffany pressed her hand over Davis's mouth, felt his terrified breathing against her palm. Not in the bed. Check everywhere. Footsteps approached the closet. Tiffany raised the heel, ready to drive it through someone's eye if they opened that door. She'd kill to protect her son. No hesitation. The closet door handle turned. Then, we've got movement in the east wing. Multiple targets. Gunfire erupted downstairs, rapid, precise. The men in the bedroom ran toward the sound. The moment they cleared the doorway, Tiffany grabbed Davis and moved. Not toward the hall, toward the bathroom. It had a second door leading to a service corridor. Escape route she'd mapped the first day. Paranoia from living 11 years looking over her shoulder. They'd almost made it when someone grabbed her arm. Tiffany spun, heel raised. It's me! Hyun-sok's voice, harsh whisper in the darkness. She almost collapsed with relief. He was in tactical gear, gun in hand, 3 armed men behind him. Are you hurt? His hands moved over her, over Davis, checking for injuries. No, we're... Hyun-sok, see! One of his men called out. 4 more coming up the stairs. Get them to the safe room. Hyun-sok shoved Davis toward his guard. Now. Father. Davis's voice cracked with fear. Hyun-sok knelt fast, gripping his son's shoulders. I will come for you, I promise. But right now, you protect your mother. Can you be brave for me? Davis nodded, tears streaming. Go. The guard pulled them toward a hidden panel in the wall. Tiffany looked back, once saw Hyun-sok moving toward the gunfire with the cold precision of a man who'd done this 1,000 times. The safe room was reinforced steel behind wood paneling. Silent. Soundproof. Tiffany held Davis as he shook, both of them listening to nothing, imagining everything. Minutes felt like hours. Then the door opened. Tiffany raised her heel again. Hyun-sok stood there, blood spattered across his face and shirt. Not his blood, she realized with sick clarity. It's over. They're gone. Dead? Her voice was hollow. 3 dead. 2 captured for questioning. His eyes were empty, the mask back in place. Davis, are you okay? But Davis didn't answer. He stared at his father, at the blood, the gun still in his hand, the cold expression of a man who'd just killed people. You hurt them. Davis's voice was small, breaking. Yes. Did you kill them? Hyun-sok's jaw clenched. He could have lied. Should have, maybe. But he looked at his son and chose truth. Yes. To protect you. Davis made a sound, not quite a sob, and buried his face against Tiffany's shoulder. Something in Hyun-sok's expression shattered. The mask cracked completely, revealing raw pain underneath. Davis, give him space. Tiffany's voice was gentle but firm. This is a lot for a 10-year-old to process. I didn't want him to see this. Any of this. Hyun-sok's voice broke. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. An hour later, Davis finally cried himself to sleep in Tiffany's arms. She laid him in the bed of a different bedroom, the original one now a crime scene being cleaned by Hyun-suk's people. She found Hyun-suk in the garden, finally alone. He'd showered, changed clothes, but he still looked haunted. His hands shook slightly as he lit a cigarette, a habit she'd never seen him indulge. "You smoke now?" "Only when I'm falling apart." He took a drag. "They came for him, Tiffany. Not to kill, to send a message. To prove they could reach him. That my son is leverage." "Who?" "The Choi family. Busan Syndicate. They're making a move on my territory, and now they know my weakness." He laughed bitterly. 10 years I built an empire with no vulnerabilities. 2 weeks with you back, and I've given them the perfect weapon. Don't you dare blame Davis." "I'm not. I'm blaming myself." He turned to face her. "I should have sent you away. Somewhere safe, far from Korea, with enough security to— We're not leaving." "Tiffany." "No." She moved closer. "I saw the fear in your eyes tonight. When you found us. When Davis looked at you like you were a monster. That wasn't the cold Mafia boss. That was a father terrified of losing his son. I killed 3 men in front of him. You protected him. Yes, it was violent. Yes, it's traumatic. But you kept him alive." She paused. "That's what parents do. We make impossible choices to keep our children safe. Even when those choices break us." Hyun-suk's hands trembled harder. He looked at me like he was scared. Of me. "He's processing. Give him time. What if he never looks at me the same way?" "Then you earn back his trust. You show him you're more than the violence. That you can be gentle too." Silence stretched between them. Then Hyun-suk's voice, barely audible. "When I heard they were in the house, that they were looking for him, something inside me broke. I didn't think. I just moved. And if anyone had touched him, if anyone had hurt either of you," his voice cracked completely, "I would have burned soul to the ground." Tiffany had never seen him like this. Vulnerable. Raw. The boy she'd fallen in love with 11 years ago. Visible beneath the monster he'd become. "I've made so many enemies," he continued. "Built power on fear and violence. I thought it made me strong. Untouchable." He looked at her. "But tonight proved I'm more vulnerable than I've ever been. Because now I have something to lose. Then maybe it's time to change. To find a way out of this life. There is no out. Not for me. The only way out is—" He stopped. "Death." The word hung unspoken. "Then we make this work," Tiffany said firmly. "We stay. We let Davis know his father. But you have to do better. Tighter security. Better intelligence. Whatever it takes to make sure this never happens again. I'll triple the guards. Change security protocols. Make an example of the Choi family so brutal no one will dare." "Hyun-suk." He stopped, looked at her. "I will never let anyone hurt you or Davis again." The words came out like a vow, like a prayer. "I swear it. On my life, on everything I've built, they will never get close again. Promises are easy. Action is what matters." "Then watch me." His eyes hardened. "By tomorrow, every syndicate in Korea will know what happens when you threaten my family." Tiffany should have been horrified, should have grabbed Davis and run. But instead, she felt something else. The grim certainty that they were in this now, in Hyun-suk's world, and the only way forward was through. "Make them fear you," she said quietly. "But come back to us human. Davis needs a father, not a weapon. I'll try. That's all I ask." As dawn broke over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold, Tiffany realized they'd crossed a line. There was no going back to Jamaica. No pretending they could live normal lives. They were family now, complicated, dangerous, bound by violence and love in equal measure. And that terrified her more than anything. We're halfway through this intense story, and I have to know, what would you do in Tiffany's position? Would you stay, or would you leave? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this story. 3 days after the attack, Tiffany found out what Hyun-suk meant by making an example. She saw it on the news first. Gang violence escalates in Busan. 5 prominent members of the Choi syndicate found dead. The reporter's voice was carefully neutral, but the images showed carnage. Then her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. A photo of Hyun-suk leaving the Busan docks at dawn, blood on his hands. No words, just the image. She was waiting for him when he came home that evening, still in the suit he'd worn to what everyone pretended was a business meeting. "We need to talk." Hyun-suk's eyes were empty. "Not now, Tiffany. Now." She blocked his path to the stairs. "Davis keeps asking why there are twice as many guards. Why he can't even go in the garden without armed escorts. Why you've been gone for 3 days. I'm keeping him safe. By starting a war? She shoved her phone at him, showing the news. This is your idea of protection? More violence? More death? They tried to hurt my son. There are consequences. And when their allies retaliate? When the next family comes after Davis for revenge? What then? More bodies? More blood? If that's what it takes. His voice was cold, the mask fully in place. This is exactly why I left. The words exploded out of her. You choose violence over everything. Power over family. The empire over the people you claim to love. I'm protecting my family by turning into exactly what I was running from. Her voice cracked. 11 years ago, I looked at you and saw a monster in the making. Now I look at you, and the monster is all that's left. The words hit like bullets. Hyun-suk's composure shattered. You think I wanted this? You think I chose to become this? You made a choice every single day. You could have left, could have chosen us over them, but you didn't. There was no us. You were gone. His voice rose. You left Tiffany. You took my son and disappeared, and I had nothing. Nothing but the empire my family built. The expectations, the violence. What else was I supposed to do? You were supposed to come after me. The words tore from her throat. I waited. I watched for you. Every day for 6 months. I thought you'd show up in Jamaica, tell me you'd walked away from it all, that we mattered more than your father's approval or your family's legacy. I didn't know where you were. You didn't look. You had resources, connections, power, and you used none of it to find me. Tears streamed down her face. You let me go. That's the truth you don't want to face. When it came down to choosing between me and the empire, you chose the empire. That's not fair, isn't it? She stepped closer, voice shaking. You took over the family business, consolidated power, built your reputation on fear and violence. You didn't even question if there was another way. You just became exactly what they wanted you to be, because it was easier than facing what I'd lost. The confession ripped out of him. Do you understand what it was like? Waking up every day knowing you were gone? That I'd failed you? That somewhere you were living a life I'd never be part of? Then why didn't you change? Why sink deeper into this world instead of climbing out? Because this world is all I know. His voice broke. My father raised me in blood and business. My mother taught me loyalty means sacrifice. Every lesson, every moment of my life was preparation to be this. And when you left, when I lost the one thing that made me want to be different, what was the point of fighting it? The silence that followed was deafening. So you're saying I'm responsible for what you became? Tiffany's voice was dangerously quiet. No, I'm saying you were the only reason I wanted to be better. He met her eyes, and the pain in them was raw. You were my escape, my hope that I could be something other than what my family made me. And when you disappeared, that hope died. So you punished the world for losing me? I punished myself. He moved closer. Every ruthless decision, every violent act, every time I chose power over mercy, it was because I didn't care anymore. Without you, without a future that meant something, the empire was all I had left. That's not love, Hyun-suk. That's obsession. Maybe. He didn't deny it. But it's the truth. You want to know why I became this? It's because the alternative was facing how completely I'd failed the one person who believed I could be different. Tiffany's anger wavered. She saw it now, the prison he'd built for himself. Not bars and walls, but violence and power. Each act of brutality another brick sealing him inside. You're right, she said quietly. I left. I made that choice. But you made choices too. You could have walked away from the family, could have refused the succession, could have chosen literally anything else. And be what? Who? He laughed bitterly. This is who I am. The Kim heir, the boss, the monster. I don't know how to be anything else. You're a father now. That's something else. A father who kills people to keep his son safe. Real role model material. A father who's trying. She paused. But trying isn't enough if you're still choosing the empire over us. Davis deserves better than a father who might not come home. I deserve better than to watch the man I loved disappear completely into darkness. The man you loved is gone, Tiffany. Is he? She searched his face. Or are you just afraid to let him out? Afraid that if you stop being the monster, you'll be weak? Vulnerable? He didn't answer. Couldn't. This is the breaking point, Tiffany continued. You have to choose. Really choose. Do you want to be the empire? Or do you want to be Davis's father? She stopped, the word catching. You're what? Nothing. It doesn't matter. Say it. No. Tiffany, you don't get to know what you could have had. Her voice cracked. You don't get to hear that after everything She turned away, composure shattering. Hyun-suk grabbed her arm gently, turned her to face him. Say it, please. I still love you. The admission came out broken. I hate that I do. I hate that 11 years and everything you've become hasn't killed it. But watching you with Davis, seeing glimpses of who you were, it's there. The man I fell in love with is still in there, suffocating under everything you've built. Hyun-suk's breath caught. His hands trembled as they framed her face. I never wanted to lose you, he whispered. Not 11 years ago. Not now. You were my escape, Tiffany. The only good thing in a life built on terrible things. And when you left, I locked myself deeper into the prison because at least it was familiar. At least I knew how to survive there. Then fight your way out. Not for me, for Davis. For the chance to be someone he can be proud of. What if it's too late? What if I'm too far gone? Then you'll die trying to be better. But you have to try. Hyun-suk pulled back, walked to the window overlooking Seoul. His empire spread out in lights below. I've spent years building this, he said, voice filled with sorrow. An empire that makes me untouchable. Wealthy beyond measure. Feared by everyone. And now I look at it and realize, his voice broke. What's it worth if I've lost the only people who matter? Tiffany stood behind him, seeing what he saw. A kingdom built on blood, beautiful and hollow. She wanted to comfort him, to tell him it wasn't too late. But some truths needed silence. So she said nothing. Just let him face the empire he'd chosen over love, and finally understand the cost. The next morning, Tiffany found Hyun-suk in Davis's room, not ordering him, not showering him with gifts, just sitting on the floor beside the bed, watching their son sleep with an expression of such profound longing it hurt to witness. He had nightmares, Hyun-suk said quietly, not looking up. 3 times last night. I heard him through the monitors. Each time he called for you, never me. Tiffany leaned against the doorframe. He's processing trauma. It takes time. What if he never... He stopped. What if I've destroyed any chance of him trusting me? He saw me kill people, Tiffany. He saw what I really am. He saw you protecting him. There's a difference. Is there? Davis stirred, eyes fluttering open. He saw his father sitting there, and went still, not frightened exactly, but wary. Morning, baby. Tiffany moved into the room, sat on the other side of the bed. How'd you sleep? Okay. Davis's voice was small. His eyes kept drifting to Hyun-suk. Hyun-suk stood. I should go. Father? Davis's voice stopped him. Are the bad men gone? Hyun-suk turned back, choosing his words carefully. Yes, they won't come back. Because you hurt them? A pause. Then, yes. Mama says violence is wrong. Your mama is right. But you did it anyway. Because sometimes, Hyun-suk said slowly, kneeling by the bed, the world doesn't give you good choices, only terrible ones and worse ones. And I chose the terrible one to keep you safe. I'm not asking you to understand or to think I'm a good person. I just need you to know I would do anything to protect you. Davis studied him with those 2 old eyes. Even bad things. Especially bad things. Silence stretched. Then Davis nodded, accepting this truth about his father with the heartbreaking wisdom of a child forced to grow up too fast. That afternoon, Tiffany called Hyun-suk to the study. He came expecting another fight, but she simply handed him a list. What's this? My terms. For staying. He scanned the paper. Davis gets therapy, someone who specializes in childhood trauma. You spend time with him every day. Real time. No phones, no business. You teach him about Korean culture, not the violence, the beauty. No more gifts as apologies. Presents, not presents. You start seeing someone too. Deal with whatever made you think this life was your only option. We create an exit strategy. Not tomorrow, but eventually, Davis gets out of this world. Hyun-suk read it twice. You're asking me to change everything. I'm asking you to try. For Davis. Maybe for yourself. And if I fail, then we leave. And this time you won't find us again. The threat hung between them, final, absolute. Okay. He met her eyes. I'll do it. All of it. Don't promise me. Promise him. The first real change came 3 days later. Tiffany found Hyun-suk and Davis in the kitchen actually cooking. Well, Hyun-suk was watching Davis make pancakes with the focused intensity he usually reserved for business negotiations. You're burning the edges, he said. It's okay. Mama says burnt parts have character. Your mama is very forgiving of imperfection. Davis glanced at him. Are you mad I'm bad at cooking? No. Hyun-suk's voice softened. I'm realizing I don't know how to do this either. So we're learning together. Something in Davis's posture relaxed. Tiffany watched from the doorway, afraid to interrupt this fragile moment. Hyun-suk caught her eye, and she saw vulnerability there. Fear that he was doing it wrong. Hope that maybe he was doing it right. She nodded encouragement. When the pancakes were done, burnt edges and all they ate together, Hyun-suk didn't check his phone once. The breakthrough came 2 weeks later, unexpectedly. They were watching a Korean film, Hyun-suk's attempt at teaching culture. Davis had questions about everything. Language, customs, why people bowed differently. In Korea, respect is shown through small things, Hyun-suk explained. How you bow, how you pour tea, how you speak to elders. Did your parents teach you? Hyun-suk's expression flickered. Yes. Among other things. Do you miss them? Even though they were mean to Mama? The question caught him off guard. I don't know. They're the only family I knew, until now. Now you have us. Davis said it simply, like it was obvious. Yes. Now I have you. Davis shifted closer on the couch, leaning against Hyun-suk's side. It was the first time he'd initiated physical contact. Hyun-suk froze, terrified of moving and breaking the spell. His arms slowly, carefully wrapped around his son's shoulders. Father? Yes? Thank you for protecting us. Even though it was scary. Hyun-suk's voice was rough. You're welcome. They watched the rest of the film like that, Davis tucked against his father, Tiffany on the other side, a family learning how to be one. That night, Davis had another nightmare. But this time, when Tiffany went to his room, Hyun-suk was already there, sitting on the edge of the bed, hand on Davis's back. It's okay, he was murmuring in Korean. You're safe. I'm here. Davis clung to him, half asleep, crying into his father's shirt. Don't leave, he whispered. I won't. I promise. Tiffany watched as Hyun-suk, this man who'd built an empire on ruthlessness, gently rocked their son, humming something she didn't recognize. A Korean lullaby, maybe. Something from his own childhood, before violence became his language. Mama? Davis's eyes found her. I'm here too, baby. Can you both stay, please? Tiffany looked at Hyun-suk. He nodded. They lay on either side of Davis in his too big bed, their son safe between them. Tell me a story, Davis mumbled, sleep pulling at him. About when you met, the good parts. Tiffany started. Your father came into the hospital with the worst stitching job I'd ever seen. Hyun-suk added details, and together they wove a story of young love before empires and betrayals, when anything felt possible. Davis's breathing evened out, peaceful. In the dim light, Tiffany looked across at Hyun-suk. He was different now, softer somehow. Still dangerous, still carved from violence, but with cracks letting light through. He called you father today, she whispered. Not Hyun-suk, not formal titles, just father. I know. His voice was wonder-filled. I've heard it 100 times, but today it felt real. That's because you earned it. I'm trying. It's harder than running an empire. The important things always are. Hyun-suk reached across their sleeping son, found Tiffany's hand. Thank you. For giving me this chance. For not running again. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for him. I know. But thank you anyway. They lay in silence, watching Davis sleep. Outside, guards patrolled. Somewhere in Seoul, Hyun-suk's empire continued its dark work. But here, in this room, there was only peace. Dad, the word was sleepy, barely audible. Davis hadn't opened his eyes. Yes? Hyun-suk's voice cracked. Love you. Hyun-suk's breath caught. Tears spilled down his face, this man who never cried, who'd built armor so thick nothing could penetrate. I love you too, he whispered. More than anything. Tiffany watched emotions cycle across his face. Joy, sorrow, fear, hope, and understood. This was what mattered. Not the empire, not the power. This moment, this boy, this family they were building from broken pieces. We may never be the family we were meant to be, she said softly, meeting Hyun-suk's eyes across their son. The fairy tale we dreamed about 11 years ago. But we can be the family we make. Complicated, messy, imperfect, but ours. Hyun-suk's thumb traced patterns on her hand the same way he used to. Lifetimes ago. That's all I want, he said. Just this. Everything else can burn. And watching him mean it, watching him choose them over the empire even for this one night, Tiffany let herself hope. Maybe change was possible. Maybe monsters could learn to be human again. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. The call came at 9 p.m., during family dinner. Hyun-sok had been actually laughing at Davis's impression of his Korean tutor when his phone buzzed. He almost ignored it. Almost chose family over business for once. But the name on the screen made his blood run cold. Min Jae. His second in command. His oldest friend. The man he trusted more than anyone in his organization. I need to take this. Tiffany caught the shift in his expression. What's wrong? Probably nothing. 2 minutes. He stepped into the hallway. Answered. Min Jae? Hyung. Min Jae's voice was wrong, too formal, too careful. I'm sorry. Hyun-sok's instinct screamed. For what? For this. The line clicked. New voice. Cold. Accented Korean. Kim Hyun-sok. You've made yourself weak. Time to pay for that weakness. Who is this? Someone who's tired of watching you play house while the empire crumbles. Min Jae agrees you're not fit to lead anymore. You've become soft, distracted. Hyun-sok's hand tightened on the phone. Min Jae betrayed me? He opened the door. Literally. A pause. Your security is compromised. As we speak, my people are entering your property. And this time, we're not just sending a message. We're taking what's yours, starting with your son. The phone went dead. Hyun-sok's world narrowed to one thought. Davis. He was moving before conscious thought kicked in, racing back to the dining room. Empty. Tiffany! Davis! We're here. Tiffany's voice from the kitchen. Davis wanted dessert. He grabbed them both, pulling them toward the safe room. We need to move. Now. What's happening? Betrayal. Min Jae sold us out. Tiffany's face went white. Min Jae had been to dinner, had played games with Davis, had been trusted. They'd almost reached the safe room when the lights cut out. Not again. But this time was different this time. They knew the layout, knew the security protocols, knew exactly how to breach every defense. Papa! Davis's hand clutched Hyun-sok's. The name not father, but the Korean Papa hit him like a bullet. I've got you. Both of you. He punched in the code for the safe room. The panel opened. I wouldn't. Min Jae stepped from the shadows, gun aimed at them. Behind him, 6 armed men. Hyun-sok's voice was deadly calm. What are you doing? What I should have done months ago. You've become weak, Hyun-sok. A liability. The families are restless. They see you playing father, neglecting business, and they smell blood. So you ally with our enemies? I'm saving the empire you built, before you destroy it for a woman and a child. Min Jae's eyes flicked to Tiffany and Davis. They've made you soft, made you hesitate. The Kim family needs a leader who puts the organization first. And you think that's you? With the backing of 3 major syndicates? Yes, Min Jae gestured. It's over. The boy comes with us. Leverage to ensure your cooperation during the transition. Hyun-sok stepped in front of Davis. No, don't be stupid. You're outnumbered. I don't care. Hyun-sok's voice was ice. You don't touch my son. Hyung, be reasonable. I'll kill every person in this house before I let you take him. Min Jae's eyes widened. He'd known Hyun-sok for 15 years, seen him in countless situations. But this cold certainty, this was new. You'd die for them? Without hesitation. Then you're weaker than I thought. Min Jae raised his gun. Take the boy. 2 men moved forward. Hyun-sok didn't think. His hand went to the concealed weapon at his back. Drew, fired 3 shots. Surgical precision. 2 men dropped. Chaos erupted. Tiffany grabbed Davis, shoved him into the safe room, slammed the door. The code would seal it for 20 minutes, enough time for help to arrive or for everyone outside to die. Hyun-sok moved like a demon. This was his house, his territory, and these traitors had made a critical mistake. They thought he'd become soft. But a father protecting his child isn't soft. He's the most dangerous thing in the world. He took down 2 more before Min Jae's bullet grazed his shoulder. Pain, but he didn't stop. Disarmed another attacker, used the man's body as a shield, kept moving. You trained me! Hyun-sok roared at Min Jae. Did you think I'd forgotten everything? I taught you when you were ruthless, when you cared about power. Min Jae fired again. Missed. Not this pathetic version who plays father. This version is stronger. Hyun-sok closed the distance between them. Because now I have something worth killing for. They collided, 15 years of friendship ending in violence. They'd trained together, fought together, built an empire together. Now they were tearing it apart. Min Jae was skilled, but Hyun-sok had rage, purpose, Every blow was for Davis. Every strike was for Tiffany. For the family he'd almost lost. For the future he was fighting to protect. Min-jae's gun clattered away. They grappled, crashed through furniture. "You were my brother," Hyun-suk snarled, hand around Min-jae's throat. "And you abandoned the empire for them. Because the empire isn't worth my son's life." The words echoed in the silence. The last attacker fled, survival instinct kicking in when he saw his boss losing. Min-jae's eyes widened. You actually mean that?" "Every word." Hyun-suk's grip tightened. He could kill him. Should kill him. 15 years of loyalty ending in betrayal deserved death. But Davis was in that safe room. Davis, who'd seen enough violence. Who called him Papa now. Who was learning what kind of man his father could be. Hyun-suk's hand loosened. "Get out. Tell the families what you saw here. Tell them Kim Hyun-suk chooses his family over the empire. That if they come for my son again, there won't be mercy. You're making a mistake." "No." Hyun-suk hauled him up, shoved him toward the door. "The mistake was thinking the empire mattered more than the people I love. Now get out before I change my mind." Min-jae stumbled away, hand pressed to his bleeding side. Hyun-suk collapsed against the safe room door. "Tiffany, it's over. It's me." The door opened slowly. Tiffany stood there, Davis clutched against her, both of them shaking. "Papa." Davis's voice was small, terrified. Hyun-suk opened his arms, and Davis flew into them, sobbing. Tiffany followed, and suddenly they were all on the floor, bloodied, traumatized, but together. "I'm sorry," Hyun-suk whispered into Davis's hair. "I'm so sorry you keep seeing this, that my world keeps threatening you. You saved us," Davis sobbed. "Again. Always. Always." Tiffany's hand found his face, turning him to look at her. "You let him go. Min-jae, you could have killed him. Davis has seen enough death. You're changing. I'm trying." His arms tightened around them both. "I told him I told all of them. The empire or my family. I choose you. I choose this." Tiffany's eyes filled with tears. "What does that mean? For your position? Your power? I don't know. Maybe it means I lose everything. Maybe the families will come after me for showing weakness." He looked at Davis, then at Tiffany. "But I don't care. Let them come. Let the empire burn. This," his voice broke, "this is what matters. This is the family I'll protect with my life." Davis clung tighter. "Don't leave us, Papa, please." "Never, I promise. Whatever it takes, whatever I have to do, I'm not losing you again." Sirens wailed in the distance, loyal guards finally arriving. But Hyun-suk didn't move. He just held his family close, finally understanding what he should have known 11 years ago. All the power in the world meant nothing without love. And he'd choose them broken, complicated, imperfect them over every empire ever built. 3 months after the betrayal, Hyun-suk called a meeting. Not with his family, with the heads of every major syndicate in Korea. Tiffany watched him prepare, adjusting his tie with hands that no longer shook. He'd been different since that night. Quieter, more present. Like he'd finally figured out who he wanted to be. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. "Yes, I do." He met her eyes in the mirror. "For Davis. For us. For the man I'm trying to become. They won't let you walk away easily. I know. But I'm not asking permission." The meeting took place in a private room at the Shilla, full circle to where this all began. Hyun-suk stood before men who'd feared him, respected him, built empires alongside him. Now he was about to do the unthinkable. "I'm stepping down." Silence. Then chaos, voices overlapping in disbelief. "You can't just leave. The Kim family has obligations. This is weakness. This is a choice." Hyun-suk's voice cut through the noise. "I've spent 15 years building power. I've sacrificed everything, love, family, my humanity for this world. And I'm done. Your son," someone started. "My son will never inherit this empire. He'll never know the weight of blood money or the cost of loyalty bought with fear." Hyun-suk's eyes were steel. "I'm transferring my territories, my operations, my assets. Divide them however you want. Fight over them if you must. But my family is off limits. Forever. And if we refuse, then you'll see exactly how ruthless I can still be." The threat hung heavy. "I'm leaving, but I'm not defenseless. Touch my family, and I'll burn everything we've built. Every operation, every alliance, every secret we've kept. I'll expose it all." It was mutually assured destruction, a threat so absolute no one could dismiss it. "You'd destroy your own legacy? For them? Without hesitation. One of the older bosses, the Busan head who'd watched Hyun-sok rise, laughed. You always were the smartest of us, smart enough to know when to walk away. He raised his glass. Go. Be with your family. But know this, you leave with our respect. And our promise. Your family remains untouched. Others nodded, some reluctant, some understanding. Hyun-sok had done the impossible. Walked away from an empire and lived. They left Korea 2 weeks later. Not running this time. Choosing. Hyun-sok had liquidated what he could legally, set up trusts, ensured they'd never want for anything. But more importantly, he'd severed every tie to the underworld. The plane tickets said New Zealand, far from both Jamaica and Korea. A fresh start for all of them. Davis pressed his face against the airplane window, watching Seoul disappear below. Will we ever come back? Maybe. When you're older, when it's safe to just visit. Hyun-sok's arm was around him. But leaving this is so you can have a real childhood. Friends who aren't guards. School without security protocols. A life where you're just Davis, not the Mafia heir. Will you miss it? Being powerful? Hyun-sok looked at Tiffany across the aisle, then back at his son. I'm looking at all the power I need. 6 months later, Christchurch, New Zealand. They lived in a modest house by the coast, nothing like the Pyeongchang mansion, but filled with something that palace never had, laughter. Hyun-sok taught Korean language lessons at the local university. Tiffany worked part-time at a hospital. Davis played football with kids who knew nothing about his father's past. It was ordinary. Beautifully, perfectly ordinary. Tiffany watched from the kitchen window as Hyun-sok taught Davis to surf, both of them terrible at it, both laughing when waves knocked them down. This man who'd once controlled an empire now couldn't control a surfboard, and he was happier than she'd ever seen him. Mama, did you see? Davis ran up, dripping and grinning. Papa actually stood up for like 3 seconds. I saw, baby. Hyun-sok followed, hair wet, tattoos visible under his wetsuit. He'd stopped hiding them. Stopped hiding everything, really. You're smiling, he said to Tiffany. I do that now, when I'm happy. Are you happy? She considered. 6 months ago, they were dodging assassins. Now they were dodging waves. The contrast was almost absurd. Yes, I really am. He kissed her, gentle, unhurried. They'd been taking things slow, rebuilding trust alongside rebuilding their lives. Some nights he still woke up gasping, trapped in nightmares of the life he'd left. But more and more, he woke up peaceful. Thank you, he whispered against her lips. For what? For not giving up on me. For believing I could be more than what I was. You did the hard part. You chose to change. That evening, as the sun set over the Pacific, Hyun-sok found Davis building sandcastles on the beach. Can I join you? Sure, Papa. They worked in comfortable silence, father and son creating something together. Not an empire of fear, just a castle of sand that would wash away with the tide. Davis, I want to tell you something. Okay? Hyun-sok knelt in the sand, so they were eye level. When you were born, I didn't know about you. But if I had, I would have chosen differently. I would have fought for you and your mama. I would have walked away from everything sooner. It's okay, Papa. You did it now. I know. But I want you to understand. His voice caught. This life we have now? This is the life I should have given you from the beginning. No guards, no fear, no looking over our shoulders. Just family, just love. I like this life. Good, because this is forever. Hyun-sok took his son's hands. I promise you, Davis, you'll never have to be part of that world. You'll never carry the weight I carried. You're free, completely free. Davis threw his arms around his father's neck. I love you, Papa. I love you too. More than power. More than empires. More than anything. Tiffany watched from the porch, tears streaming down her face. This was what she'd hoped for 11 years ago, this exact moment. A father and son, building castles instead of kingdoms. Hyun-sok looked up, met her eyes, and smiled. Not the cold smile of a mafia boss. The warm smile of a man who'd finally found his way home. That night, after Davis fell asleep, Tiffany and Hyun-sok sat on the beach under impossible stars. Do you regret it? She asked. Everything you gave up? Not even for a second. He pulled her close. I spent years believing power was the only thing that mattered. That strength meant being untouchable, unkillable, unbreakable. And now I know strength is choosing to be vulnerable, to love people more than you fear losing them, to build a life worth living instead of an empire worth dying for. He kissed her temple. You taught me that. You and Davis. We just loved you. You did the rest. Then let me keep doing it. He turned to face her. Tiffany, I know we're taking things slow. I know I have years of trust to rebuild, but I need you to know. I know. Let me say it. His voice was intense. I love you. I never stopped, and I'll spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth a second chance. Tiffany cupped his face. You already have. Every day you choose us, you prove it. Every moment you're the father Davis needs, the partner I deserve, you prove it. So where does that leave us? Right here, building the family we chose. Not the one we were supposed to have, but the one we fought for. He kissed her then, deep, meaningful, full of promises and possibility. When they finally pulled apart, Tiffany whispered, in a world that tried to rule us through fear, we chose love instead. And look what we built, a family worth fighting for. Hyun-sok held her close, watching waves crash against the shore, washing away the past and leaving space for the future. He'd been a king once, powerful, feared, untouchable. Now he was just a man, a father, a partner, and finally that was enough. In a world ruled by fear, they chose love and built a family worth fighting for. And that's how love can conquer even the darkest empires. Before you go, I have 2 things. First, click that next video appearing on your screen. It's another emotional roller coaster you need to see. Second, my sister bet me I couldn't get 100 comments on this video. Prove her wrong. Tell me, what was your favorite moment from this story? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next story.